Hello everyone and welcome to Power Hour. Today's topic is app in an hour. We are going to build a whole functioning Power app in 1 hour. And the key is that we're going to use all these new modern controls and modern screen templates and make the most of all those. So here we get started. All right, so Joelle, I've seen, these app in a day workshops people do, and I thought I would ramp it up and say app in an hour because all these new modern, the modern page templates and kind of modern controls just give you such a quick way to be able to do a lot more. Power Apps historically has been something like it takes a lot of time to build them, even though it's no code and it's pretty intuitive for people like those like us that I'm not a programmer. It's still time consuming. So they've done a lot in there to make it less time consuming. So that's what I want to capitalize on today. If you're new to Power Hour, this is something we've been doing for about 11 years. We have a chat going on in Teams. Wherever you're watching this video, you can click to request to join, and we invite you as external users in Teams, and we like to have lively discussions and questions as we go. And we send out a newsletter the day before where you all vote on the topic. So you all voted on the app in an hour. So thanks everybody for joining. And it's good to see you in the chat. Hey, everybody. And I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen here. And I don't think I introduced us. I'm Laura Rogers. This is Joelle Jobson in the window. I have like this set of all the same things I say every time. So I'm not sure if I forgot that. All right, here we go. I'm going to share my screen now, and I have a brand new just welcome screen for Power Apps, and this is just where you get started, and this is where you this is where we're building this standalone app. So I'm going to start by I've delved into all these kind of different options that you have for getting started. But what I want to do is just start with a blank app. We're doing a Canvas app. I always do Canvas apps. That's what I do. I'm doing a blank Canvas app, and I'm going to use the templates once we get into the app. So we're not going to start off with a template because those don't quite have what I want to achieve today. So I'm just going to call it the purchase request. I did use the concept of a purchase request a couple of Power Hours ago when I talked about the modern toolbar. So this is that same SharePoint list that I'm going to be using that you all actually helped add all the items to it. App in an hour. And I'm choosing tablet here. So now it's spinning up my brand new app. It's not going to have any screens, or it's got one empty screen. It's not going to have any data or anything like that. So I'll go ahead and just add my data first, and I'll type SharePoint. And yeah, I'm going to use this Power Hour site for, that's where I'm going to get this purchase request list that will base this app off of. So this is going to be a purchase request app. You can easily just use any concept, like anything you have in your company. It could be a travel request, check request, maintenance request, expenses, products, like all these different concepts. You probably have 100 different forms in your company. This could be any of those. So I'm not going to really do anything specific to a purchase request. This is just a list I happen to have in my site. And for those of you all that are playing along at home, I have, this is the link to the list that we're using, and I'll put it in the chat. And that way you all can, if you want to add some things to it, you can, and those are all just some fake purchase requests. So this list of purchase requests, so if you're in SharePoint, this is what the SharePoint form looks like. So this is what we're going to have in the Power App. So it's just got some basic purchase requests, just department description, quantity, price, etc. And that's what we're going to use. And so the idea is that technically you all could go in here and just add items directly in the list. But what I generally do when I'm building, in the real world, is I build the app so that users don't necessarily need to go, and they're not expected to go straight to the list. They're going to be interacting with that data in the app purely. So here's my app. I've got my list, got my data here, and I'm going to start with just building some screens. So you'll notice you have this little templates button, and also you'll notice that I do have the modern controls. I have the modern controls here that I need to turn on. Now, a lot of this stuff, as you add it, like as soon as I start adding these modern templates, it's going to turn on the modern controls for me. So, but that's where you can find that setting if you are currently looking at an app that maybe already exists and doesn't have the modern stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and click templates here. So I'll start with this first screen and I'll make it be the welcome screen. Now, one of the templates they have, that's one of the main page, like start from a page design screen when you're building your app, has, and I did this in a previous app, in a previous Power Hour, just has the list and the form all on one screen. Well, you could easily just have a simple app with just a single screen with just that form and the list on one screen. But I didn't want to do it that way because I wanted to have multiple screens here, multiple places where we can send people from the welcome screen to give it, make it theoretically bigger app with more in it than just a single screen. So then I'm going to go to my little list of screens here, my tree view. You can see here's the tree view, and then go create another new screen. And this one's going to be I'm not doing the table and form all on one screen. That's the thing that I was talking about not wanting to do. But I'm going to go ahead and do the header and table. So that way just the table is going to fill up the whole screen. And I have this nice pretty little, this is one of the modern controls, the header control. So I have the header control and then I have this table. Now my table doesn't have any data in it, so I'll just click purchase requests. And then it's going to fill up all the columns. Now, tables are really easy to add. As you can see, I just did it in a click. And the other way of listing a list of things in your app is going to be a gallery. But if I start adding galleries to this app, it's not going to be an app in an hour anymore. Galleries are much more time consuming. So that's why, in the interest of having this be a quicker app, I'm just going to use the table. And this is actually a new table control. It's a modern one. So it's just called table. So you actually have the old classic data table. So this is an improvement off of that. So now I have my table on a screen, and I'll do another new screen. And I'm going to have the form on this screen. So it'll be the header and the form. So I have the header in the table and the header in the form, and this will be the new modern form control. And I've got my header and my form. So here is my purchase request form. It's just added it here in a very simple way. I can make it look a little bit nicer by making it have 2 columns. It doesn't have that, it's not a huge list with a bunch of columns though, so it's not going to take up that much real estate. But here is my form. So I like the way this one also adds a container down at the bottom for your buttons as well. So that's all built in. So now let's go start kind of naming things in a better way. So this would be the, I'll just call this welcome screen. Now, when you're using this header control, one of the cool things about the header control is that it uses whatever the name of the screen is, and that's what it displays in the pretty little header. So I used to name my screens all just like SCR welcome or SCR form, and it was like kind of like system names. But since the header control just will put the name of the screen on there, I kind of like that. So I'll just say purchase request welcome. And then this next screen is going to be purchase request lists. And then the third screen is going to be the form. And then let me see if let me make sure these headers are, let's see, the title, it just says welcome screen in here. So I need to switch it over. So when you add one of these header controls just from scratch, it's by default going to have the name of the screen. But when you add them and they're part of these screen templates, you actually have to do a little more work. So I'm going to go to the title here, and then it's going to be the active screen, sorry. There. The name of the active screen. So I'll just take that concept and I'll put it on all three of them in my header control. So that's one situation where you actually have a little bit more work that you have to do when you use the when you use these little template screens. So go to the title, and so there you go. So now they've got built in the name of the screen. And then one thing you can do with these headers is, so when you think about kind of like navigating around in your app, and people need it when they go to other screens, needing to be able to get back to where they were. One thing you can do with these is you can not only make it have a logo, but you can make the logo be clickable. So what I'm going to do is I've actually created a little home graphic, and I just created it in PowerPoint, and it's just a picture of a little home and it's an icon. But I just uploaded it, and I'm using that as the graphic that it shows. So this toolbar also shows the currently logged in user. So you can turn this stuff off where it doesn't have the person's profile picture and things like that. But that's all built in. So then another thing that it has is on select logo. So on select logo is going to be, I'll just have it take them to the home screen from all these other screens. I can just actually make it navigate. Now, of course, this is the home screen, so I don't need to do that on here. So I'll just go to this other one and choose logo. And then this is my home logo. And then on select logo, navigate. And then that's going to be purchase request welcome. So then I'll just do that on the other screen. Home. Y'all let me know as I go if y'all have any questions or what you think about any of this, or like if you love how simple it is, because I love the way that they put a lot of work into trying to make Power Apps less time consuming. So I'm going to navigate to the welcome screen. All right, so now that I've got a welcome screen, doesn't have any buttons on it. I have a list of things and I have a form. So I need to make those connected. So just in the logical progression of somebody opening this app, what I want to happen is I want them to be able to click to create a new purchase request. That's one of the first easiest things I want them to be able to do from this screen. So now we'll go through the process of clicking to create a new purchase request, and then going to the list of requests and editing purchase requests, and kind of just all the different basic concepts that people need to be able to do in an app. So I'll go ahead and go to this first one. Now it's got like a little sample image here. But it's got stock images that I love. I love that that's built in to Power Apps now. So I'll see if I can find something about a new form. Actually like a purchase request. Now let's see, requests, find me some nice stock images. There we go. Sure, that one. So you might have company images and things you might want to put in yours, but then instead of featured item, I want this to say new purchase request. And then I could put an icon next to it like this. See, it's got a little add and it's got icon before. And that is actually a button control. So this is a button control so the new button control has icons. So I can add my little description, create, let's see, fill out a new form. Sorry, I'm trying to hurry. There. And then I need to make it do something when I click on it. So now can I take this whole container? So this is container one. Can I put an on select on the entire container? No, so I've got to put an on select on, I'll just put it, since this is a button, I'll just do the on select. So I'll say new form. Now I've got this, it's just called form one by default. I'll probably want to give it a better name. But I'm doing a new form command and I'm navigating to where the form is. And this is all just like Power Apps Fundamentals right here. So I'll go ahead and try this out. I'm previewing the app and new purchase request. So now this is kind of ugly, but it is a form and it's letting me fill it out. So I don't know, I'm not sure why the background is so gray like that. It looks kind of odd. Let me see. I'll just say I want it to be maybe white. Yeah, I think the white background looks a little better. So then I can fill out a new form, but when I click submit, I needed to also define what's going to happen after I fill out the form. So it looks like when I do click submit, it's got the submit form already built in, and then it resets the form too. But when you're defining what you want to happen after you click submit form, that's where you don't do it here on the button. You're going to do it on the form control. So I'll go select my form 1. I'll go ahead and rename it while I'm in here. FRM purchases. I like to rename not every single control, but the things that I'm using a lot and referencing a lot, especially if you have multiple forms in your app. So I need to go to the on success of the form and decide where I want it to take the person after they filled it out. So I think I'll just say I want them to navigate back to the welcome after they fill it out. So another thing that I do when somebody fills out a form just typically is that I'll go have it set a variable. So I don't want to get too nitty gritty into the more advanced concepts like variables just yet. So we might add that on later. So, all right, so let me go ahead and fill this out. So this is my new purchase request. I like to put what time it is when I'm testing stuff. So it's 11:18. And go to my department. I also might modify this form a little bit if I have more time a little bit later, but the idea again is not the form, it's more of building the whole app and all the different screens. And I'll just say this is normal priority. Submit. And then it submitted it and then successfully, and then it navigated me to the home screen. So now all I have built is the button to go fill out a new one. But what I want to do now is I want people to also be able to go to the list of all the purchase requests. So I'll go ahead and build another one, make this other link go to the purchase request list. So just for fun, we'll go fill out another stock image. And let's see, it doesn't have that many having to do with like forms and stuff. I'll just pick this weird thing. And then let's see, list of requests. And then I can pick a little icon if I want to, like something like this, and then adjust my description. And then I need to make this button navigate me to the list. So navigate to that screen that's got the whole purchase request list on it. So I can go to the list of requests now. So now I have my list, but now I need to be able to click on an item and have it take me to that item. So that's not going to already be built in. So for this table control, I'll go ahead and rename it TBL purchases. For this table control, the old table control didn't have the ability to do an on select for the whole table, but this one does. So I'll go to on select. So when someone clicks just anywhere in a row, I just want it to take me to that form. Now, what you got to decide right now is, do you want it to take you to the view form or the edit form? Do you want people to be able to just click a button and then immediately start editing that previously submitted item? Usually not. Usually you don't want people to maybe accidentally edit something. So I can just say, maybe I'll just do the view form command. And then the name of the form. And then navigate. So I have to go send the view form command and navigate to where the form is, to the purchase request form screen. And then another thing that I always do, then again, I mentioned this is slightly advanced, but I also like to set a variable of the item that I'm clicking on so that I can use that variable in other places in the app. So I just call it var record, and then I'll just say this item. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Tables don't have a this item. Okay, let me see. We have to do the name of the table dot selected. Yeah, there. So it's going to be the thing that I click on is going to be set in a variable. And then I'll show you how I'll use that. So then when I preview this, I'll go click on this drone. And what I haven't done yet is set the item property. So again, these are all like the fundamental building blocks of connecting all this stuff together. So I'll go to the item property of the form control, and that's where I need to tell it var record. And so now it knows which record to show. You might see a lot of other tutorials that right here, they put the name of the gallery or table dot selected as the item that it's showing. But I like to use a variable for lots of different reasons. One reason is that if you're ever doing like a deep link, like a query string URL to get to this form, you can't just connect the item property to a gallery, because if the person's going directly to the form when they open the app, then you need to have the value of what that record is already. And then another reason if you have apps with multiple screens, like I might have multiple different galleries, and I'm clicking from different galleries to get to the same form. I don't want this form to be tied to a specific gallery. So I like to use this variable to do that. Let's see. Also, when somebody clicks cancel here, I don't want it to just reset the form. I want it to go back to where they previously were. And again, back is something that's not going to be specific to your app. It just takes you back to whatever screen the person was on before, so you don't have to tie it to a specific screen. So in the example of having multiple screens with multiple galleries and somebody going to a form and then going back, it's just going to take them back to where they were. So I'll just take a look at that one, click cancel, and it took me back to the table here. Now I can go click on another one. It's just in view mode. Notice that I can't edit this, and I'll click cancel. So some things that I could add. Right now I have it just viewing it. So there are a few more things we're going to want to add. So so this button does take me back home, right? I'll go back home. Now I can fill out a new one and go to my list of requests. Some other things that apps might typically have on this welcome screen is you might have an app that has multiple different types of requests. Like this one is just a purchase request app, but you might have other things related to purchase requests, like if you want to add a vendor to a list of vendors or something like that. And you could have other screens for those other functions. And then another thing that we do sometimes is you might want to have a screen that's got the whole screen that just has all the purchase requests, like I just showed you, where you could just scroll through and click on any one. But you might want to have that filtered. So you might want to only let them see the list of maybe their purchase requests, or you might have another screen that might have a different columns, different filtering and things like that. So you might create multiple screens for multiple just ways of looking at that same list. But keep in mind that with this new table control, you do have the ability it has built-in sorting on these column headers. So that's really slick. And it also automatically tells you how many rows there are. So from this list, I might also want to do additional things. So let's talk about, so right now the whole thing is really built. So I can fill out a new one. I can click cancel. When I fill out a new one, it takes me back to the home screen. I can go to my list of requests, open up a request, go back. So that is fully built. So technically, all I would need to do just to make this to go live is, so that's a app in half an hour, is that I could just delete some of these other containers on the welcome screen. And then I've just got 2 buttons, and there's your purchase request app. But you might want to have a few. So let's spend a little bit of time adding a few extra things. So like, for example, on my list of requests, I might want to have a toolbar at the top. So people might want to be able to just click the new request button from here. And so when you start adding things, so the cool thing about all these little screen templates is that they're very slick and easy, and look how pretty it is. Everything's built in and it just works. But the problem is when you start wanting to add things to them or add buttons and things, it starts getting a little hairy, because you have to know how the containers work and how they arrange things to be able to kind of get things to show where you want them to show. So we'll go through kind of the process of little nuances with the containers that it helps to know when you want to make adjustments to these just cool templates and add kind of what you want to add to it. So I have this purchase request list. I've got a screen container, which is one big container. And a container is a type of control that you can put controls in. You can put other containers in, and it helps align things, and it's great for responsiveness. So the whole screen has got a big container that fills up the whole screen. I've got a header container that just contains my header, the header control, and then I've got the main container which just has the table in it. But what I want to do is go add a toolbar up here. So a couple of power hours ago, we talked all about the new modern toolbar control, and so I'm not going to go into super detail this time, but I'm going to show you how we can go and try and add it in here. So the first question to ask is just, do I want to add it into the header container here, or do I want to add it into this main body container here? And I'll go ahead and put it in the header. So, and then we'll go through the process of finagling the containers to make it show correctly, because that's where it gets super messy. So I put my cursor in that header and I go to toolbar. And notice that it put it way over here on the right. So that's what I meant by that. You can't just drag it back to where you want it. So when you're using containers, you can't just drag things around. You have to kind of go with the container and work with the container's settings. So I'm going to go to this container that these two things are in, and I'm going to go look at the header, and it's showing that it's got a height of 75. Alignment is set by the container. I've got the header container itself says it's horizontal. So that's why when I added the toolbar, it added it over to the right. And so I'll go ahead and change this to vertical because I want the toolbar to be able to show underneath it. So that one has the parent width, and then this toolbar is going to have the parent width. It's coming together, right? Now, this is what I don't want to happen. I don't want the toolbar, I don't want this top container to be the same size as this bottom container. So I need to go up to the screen container, and I can see that it's got two things in it. And then the main container thinks that it is just filling portions 1 of 2. So if I change it to fill portions 3, and it changes it to 3 of 4, and I'll maybe do like 4 of 5. So that's like your ratio. So then when you're looking at the app, it's just going to take, okay, the table and fill it 4 out of 5 of however much space that app is taking, like when you're actually using the app. So it's always going to be a ratio, so you don't have to worry about things kind of getting all out of whack. So now that looks a little nicer. Now I've got my header and my table, and then I can start defining what I want to happen in this toolbar. Another thing, and again, that's a different power hour, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time building this toolbar. So this can just be a new form that takes you to that other screen to fill out a form. This can be an edit, which could go edit the one that you click on. And then that's how you could define like all these different actions that people might want to do on either navigating around or on the items in that list. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to build some other screens, and so talk about some of these other concepts that you could have in your app. Now, again, it's a little tricky when you start building other screens that have other, like multiple lists of things in here, then you get into the conundrum of like, once you start making changes and making adjustments, you just have more screens that you have to go make changes to potentially. But I want to show you the concept of having like different filtered tables of things on different screens to achieve different purposes. So let's see, we're going to have, this is just the purchase request list of all the purchase requests. So I'm just going to literally copy this entire screen. That's the cool thing, is like once you get some of this, the navigation set up and the buttons and everything functioning, and then you would just want to have a slightly different screen, you can just duplicate it. So I'll just duplicate this screen, and I'm just going to rename it My Purchase Requests. Okay, so then I don't want, let's see, let me navigate away and then navigate back. So now it fixes itself. So this is going to be a filtered list. So now I don't want to see just all of the purchase requests. I want to just see the purchase requests for me. So one of the things that we do in apps commonly when we have things that we want to do for the currently logged in user is that I'll set that as a variable right when the app starts, like who is the currently logged in user, so that different things about that user can be like filtered or pre-filled in forms and things like that. And you don't have to get the logged in user multiple times. Let's go up to, now what I used to do is for the currently logged in user, I would go to the on start and I would say set a variable and set the variable to who the currently logged in user is. But there is a new, we did a whole other power hour about this too, this formula concept, where you can define it here. And for variables that don't ever change in your app, this is a place that, that you can put it. Yeah, so I'm going to define that formula here in the formulas so that it makes the app slightly more efficient instead of having a whole bunch of functions in the onStart. And that's why they came up with this formulas concept. But again, if you have a variable that's going to be changing later, then this is not where you would put it. So now I know who the currently logged in user is, so I can go to my purchase request and be able to filter that. So I'll say filter the purchase request list where the person that created by, and I'll just use their email address because I like email addresses because they're unique. Filter where the created by email equals that user, current user dot email. So now I can see that I've only created 2 items in this list. So these are my purchase requests. So now I can go say, all right, my purchase requests, go back home, go to the list of all requests, but now I need to go add my purchase requests onto the welcome screen. So I'll just say, what is my image? Stock images, person. Oh, a lion. That's great. It's not a person. I'm not sure. And then my purchase requests. I'll just put my requests. And then a person. There we go. And then just... Now, the cool thing about this is now I go to my purchase requests and, oh, it didn't make it navigate yet. Hold on, make it navigate. Navigate to that screen. And then I already set up the table to be clickable to be able to go to an item. But notice that I made my the cancel button just go back instead of navigating to a specific screen. So this is one of the benefits of that, of having a button use the back function, because now I'm on a different table on a different screen, but it's just keeping me where I was. Like it's not making me navigate back home and then navigate back to my requests. It's just making it a little bit more succinct. So another thing that you can do in the, let's see, let me go fill out a new purchase request. Like if I need to have that person's phone number or something like that, I can go add that Office 365 users data connection, and that's going to give me a whole bunch more information about them. It's going to give me their department, their manager, and a lot of things like forms like this might have the manager as a field that you need to fill out. So that's going to give the ability to automatically have that who that person's manager is. So yeah, that's a good idea. Let's just do that. So in my purchase request list, I'm going to add the manager, because that is like one of the most common things that people want to do with these forms, is have it like email the manager or do something with like who the manager is. So this is just a quick way to allow to add your manager. So I'm just creating a manager person column here. And then when you adjust something in SharePoint, you need to be able to refresh it so that it gets that additional information. So I kind of ramped it up just now. I was just going to show like the person's name or something in this form, but really the meat behind like the details that you want about a person in a form is usually going to be more. It's going to be more than just their name and email. It's going to be more profile information. So I've connected to the users. Now I'm going to be able to have that person's manager filled in. So it's not going to automatically add new columns to my form though. So I'll go ahead and pick manager here and add that to the form. And then the currently logged in users manager, we can actually pre-fill this. Now the people pickers in these modern controls are a little, they're a little odd. So let me see. Yeah, so unfortunately they're kind of broken when you first add them on here. Let me see if I can just get it to default to who that manager is real quick. Okay, now when I am pre-filling who the manager is, I don't want it to get the manager of every single time somebody opens up the form. I don't want it to get the manager again. I only want it to get it if it's a new form. So I have to go into this default for this card where the manager is. And I want it to say if it's a new form, basically. So if my purchase form mode is new, then I want to go get that manager. So see, notice how it's got like this weird cryptic, this is part of the bugginess of this control, is that it's got this like this claims information that it's showing here. So let me just read this formula to you so you know what I'm doing. Now I'm getting, if it's a new form, I'm pre-populating it with the manager of the currently logged in user. So since I have the currently logged in user in a variable, I don't have to make my app go find who that currently logged in user is. I can just use it in all these formulas in all these different places in my app that I need to refer to something having to do with the currently logged in user. So I'm utilizing that variable. So it's just saying if it's a new form, it's going to get my manager. But if it's an existing form that I'm opening just and looking at an existing one, it's just going to show me who the manager already is in that field. So that's the key. You don't want it to always default. Let's see, somebody had a question. Yeah, so that's how you, Raheem said he's trying to figure out how to auto-populate the manager on a form. It's easy on a regular people picker, but this is a modern people picker, so it's just kind of messy. So yeah, I've got it showing the display name. Let me see if I can. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time in this app in an hour, like troubleshooting these buggy little people pickers. But yeah, that is the formula. So I'll just show you that formula again. So that formula works. Just this type of people picker is buggy, and also I may not have a manager in Active Directory. So this is based off the currently logged in user's manager coming from the manager column in Active Directory. So if they don't have a manager, and if you have a required field or something like that, you need to accommodate for somehow, not making it required if they don't have a manager or doing something extra complicated like that. Lloyd says, can you use the currently logged in user's picture on the welcome screen instead of the icon? Oh, instead of the lion. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Instead of a lion. Oh, that's a cool idea. That's really cool. Okay, so here's, there's how it taps into that logged in user's picture. So for image, I'm going to go var current user dot image. There we go. That's how you do it, Lloyd. So now it's going to show the person their own requests. And so what you could do is, if you're not using all these other containers, this screen just has like container, container, container. These are all containers with containers inside of them. So you could just delete them. And then let me see if, yeah, containers actually have a visible property too. So you could do something even more advanced that I don't have bandwidth to do in the next 10 minutes, but think about the concept of looking at who the currently logged in user is, having a list predefined, a SharePoint list of people that might need to have elevated privileges to be able to see more things in this app, and then be able to have it look at who that person is and look at what role they have. And then you can actually use this visible property to hide certain things, not only on this welcome screen, but in different places in the app. Hide them from people that aren't like like an admin, if you deem them an admin of this app, or whatever you want to call that, that role. So that's another concept. I teach that in my advanced Power Apps class online. And that concept is something that's really helpful when you need to have different people see different things in your apps. So I'm going to go ahead and preview this. And we'll kind of navigate around it real quick one more time. And yeah, we have kind of all the pieces built. And then it's going to be a matter of getting more specific with what you want your app to do and customizing your app for your requirements. You might have more buttons you need to add, more screens, but those are some, especially with the containers, with kind of all the little settings and math that I had to do in those containers. That's going to be the trickiest, messiest part with adding additional things to these screens. But I hope you all enjoyed the app in an hour, and you can just watch this later and follow along and pause it and give it a try and let me know what you think and how it goes. And I teach, again, I have about a 12-hour, very advanced, very intricate Power Apps advanced course on our site at iwmentor.com. We also, you just start out with Power Apps Basics. It's a free class. So check out iwmentor.com. You start out with Power Apps Basics and ramp on up to the Power Apps Advanced course. And you can get all of our courses for only $65 a month, and it includes, it's like 15 or 20 courses. It's all the things we teach: SharePoint, Power Apps, Power Automate, Teams, Forms, all those products. So it's a good deal. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time.